Everyone's finances are different, but in this video, I wanted to give a rough estimate of average possible earnings, and you can decide if gig work makes sense for you. So stick around and watch this video all the way through if you haven't signed up for gig work yet, but you are interested in getting started with gig work. Throughout this video, I'll share a bunch of tips and tricks that I learned and that I used to maximize the amount of income I was earning very quickly right as I got started with doing gig work. First, let's start with how I quit my job to start doing gig work full time and why it made sense for me to make that jump. So almost 2 years ago, I left my job and I decided to jump into doing Instacart full time. At that time, I had a job working as a pharmacy technician and I was making about $15 an hour. I wasn't working anywhere near 40 hours a week. I really don't believe that I made more than $400 in a single week of working. This honestly wasn't enough money to cover my bills, my student loan debt, so I decided to start to look into other possibilities to make money just to supplement my income, and I found an option that I thought could replace my current income. I heard from a friend that Instacart was paying really well, so I decided to sign up for it a few months prior to starting this pharmacy technician job, and I finally got accepted probably 2 or 3 weeks into working as a pharmacy technician. Once I was accepted for Instacart, I decided to try it out for a couple of days when I didn't have to work, and on those 3 days, I made more than $600, so I knew that I had to drop this pharmacy job and it would make more sense to do Instacart full-time because I was just wasting my time sitting at the pharmacy. So that's exactly what I did. I decided to quit that job and I decided to just start waking up in the morning and setting my own schedule and start just doing Instacart whenever I felt like doing it. A few months after I made this jump into gig work, doing Instacart all day, every single day, I was accepted to start driving for Walmart Spark. So at this time, I started multi-apping. I used both Instacart and Spark at the same time to increase my weekly earnings from about $600 to $800 a week maximum just using Instacart to making over $1,000 a week by using both Walmart Spark and Instacart at the same time. I would start off my day by doing Instacart first thing in the morning when the stores first opened, because that was the time that Instacart was very busy in my area and I could grab a $50 order first thing in the morning at Aldi and get it over with real quick and go get another order and be just about at $100 by 11 o'clock. And then after that, around noon, I would go back and forth between Spark and Instacart, depending on which app had the better order available for me. Then I decided to do only Walmart Spark after I tested out a few other markets, and I found the best market for me, and I started to make over $1,000 a week consistently, and I found that the work was so much easier than Instacart. There was no need to do any shopping or anything like that. At the time, there weren't any shop and deliver orders, so Spark was just so much less work and less effort than Instacart, and I didn't really have to deal with the customer rating me poorly for replacements or anything like that. Because of this switch into Walmart and just doing Walmart, I actually had a bunch of downtime while I was in my car waiting for orders or waiting for orders to be put in my car. So at that time, I decided to double down on starting this YouTube channel and creating videos in my car while I was waiting for Spark orders to be put in my car. So now with all of that background out of the way of how I personally quit my job to go into doing gig work full time, let's get into figuring out if gig work would be a good option for you. So depending on how much money you need to make to pay your bills, gig work could be an excellent option for you. Gig work can help you make even more money after you're done with your regular job, or it could even replace your main job like it did for me. I thought for a while about what the actual hourly cutoff would be for it to make sense to do gig work for most people. So I talked with a couple of friends about this and other people that are in gig work, and I came to the conclusion that it's just really hard to guess what income you would have to make at a regular job for it to make sense to stay at that job and not go into gig work, just because of how different gig work markets are from one another. One market could be great for Instacart, and then you move like 20 miles away and to another city that's equally the same size, and Instacart could be completely dead there. So I'll just base this off of my own finances because my finances are pretty messed up. I'm thinking about making a video about that in the future, just talking about how much debt I've been in, what I've been doing to try to help myself get out of debt, things like that. So if you'd like to see that, please leave me a comment down below and I'll consider making it sooner. But back to the video. Yeah, so I found that to just stay alive, pay for all of the debt that I have to pay each month, it's about $3,000 a month. And so that means that making less than about $40,000 a year means that it would make more sense for me to do gig work, just because I have found that I make more than $40,000 a year by doing gig work. So that would make the cutoff to be just around $20 an hour at a regular job to make it make sense for me to do gig work full time. Most of the time in the markets that I've tested, I found that I can make at least $25 an hour and usually over $35 an hour just by doing Walmart Spark or Instacart. I didn't have much luck with DoorDash, and Uber Eats is kind of okay. I usually add that on with Walmart Spark or on with Instacart, but I don't really use 3 apps at a time. So let's say that you're making $30 an hour doing gig work and you work 40 hours a week. After taxes, your $70,000 a year will go to a roughly calculated $52,000 a year. If that $52,000 is livable for you, then this could be a great option for you. I just want to put a little disclaimer that this after-tax amount really depends on the state that you're in and the number of deductions that you can claim from mileage or other things. And this is really just a rough estimate that I got from a tax calculator website. So if, let's say, for example, you're making less than $20 an hour at the job that you're at, like I was in the past, it could be beneficial to consider doing gig work. Maybe not completely full-time if you're not ready to make that jump, but it could supplement your income to a level that's way more comfortable for you. Also, if you have a car that you feel comfortable won't break down by driving 1,000 miles every week, or your market has a lot of orders, or if you're not making that much money at your current job, then gig work could be a really great option for you. A little note here is that you don't need to outright quit your job, and I would really recommend that you don't. I would recommend first signing up for all of the apps that you would like to work on, because you need to first be accepted on the app to be able to drive, and this could take anywhere from weeks to months, depending on which app it is. So the sooner you sign up for the app, the better. That way you could be accepted into the app and already have it ready to go as soon as you need to start earning that extra income. Also, another really cool thing about gig work is that most of these apps don't require you to complete a set number of orders every single month or every single year to keep your account active. So in most cases, if you are approved for the app and you don't do any orders or you don't complete any orders, this won't affect you in any way and you won't be deactivated for that. If you don't have a job currently and you are looking to get started with gig work, I just made a video showing how to get on a shorter wait list specifically for Walmart Spark. If you're interested in that video, you can click up here and you can watch that video. For Instacart, I haven't found a way around this yet. I would just recommend signing up in a location that you think doesn't have that many shoppers, so that way you have the highest chance of getting approved sooner. So once you're accepted for the apps that you want to work on, then you can start to test out these apps that you wanted to try. I would recommend doing this for at least a week, but a few weeks is optimal so that you can get to know the market that you're testing out. I did this in the past with all different types of markets, and I would try out a different market each week until I found the specific market that I wanted to work in and I could make the most money in. There were a couple of criteria that I had for Walmart and Instacart, so let me share those with you. For Walmart, the first criteria would be how fast the employees got me an order for Walmart Spark. If I was sitting there for an hour waiting for an order every single hour of the day, then that would mean that I could only get like 4 orders done a day. So that wouldn't be very beneficial to me, and I would probably only make like $100 that day. Next would be how many orders were available for that store each day. If it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I see that I have trip number like 30, then that's a pretty good indication that that store does not have a lot of orders and there's not many customers or anything like that. I always look for markets that by around noontime, I see that we are into the orders above the 100 mark for the day. That means that there's enough orders for all of the drivers. There's not going to be any like fights for orders, and there's not going to be any of that like sitting in the car in between hours waiting for an order and not seeing an order that hour and just having like a completely blank hour of making no money. Then the third thing would be how close I was to the stores where I could do Instacart at if I wanted to multi-app. If I had to drive well out of the way to a Walmart and there was no other stores around that was Instacart enabled where I could shop at, then I would not consider any of these Walmarts, because if the Walmart was slow for any reason, I would have already wasted time driving to that Walmart, wasted time waiting for an order, not gotten an order, and then had to switch over to Instacart, and then I would still have to drive all the way to the Instacart store. So instead, I would just find a Walmart store that has Instacart enabled stores around it, so that way I can sit and get orders through Walmart and look at the Instacart orders and decide if I want to take a Walmart order or decide if I want to take an Instacart order. And now let's go over to Instacart. So the first thing that is really important to me for Instacart is seeing which stores have the easiest layout. This often meant that I was taking Aldi orders and spending a lot of time in Aldi because they have the exact same products in every single store, and the layout of the store is just about the same in every single store. Next would be finding out which stores have the least number of customers inside the store at all times. I personally really hate shopping around tons of customers and people that talk in the middle of the aisles, hate going around people, stuff like that. So I would look for stores that had a low amount of customers, or I would just work the hours that I knew that there weren't going to be that many customers in the store. That's probably why I don't like wholesale stores like BJ's or Costco, because there's just so many people and it's kind of crazy and gives me pretty bad anxiety. Next would be that I like to look at the types of the customers that are ordering, see like what the average tip is for the area. So to test out your market, I would recommend testing out doing orders first thing in the morning. I always loved shopping first thing in the morning when stores would open, and I would often make a really quick $100 within the first 2 hours of the day. And then it would slow down in my area from about 11 o'clock to about 1 o'clock. And then the orders would pick up again until about 5 o'clock at night, and then the stores would get busy again from about 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock with tons of orders. I just want to add this in. I rarely do any sort of Costco or BJ's or any of these types of stores. I know I did say that it like stresses me out, but also even having 20 items at those stores is way too much for me. And the lines can be crazy long sometimes. Like one time I went into Costco for 5 items, and the line was from the front of the store all the way to the back of the store where like the meat and stuff is. And it was a good 30-minute wait just to check out. I know that these orders are really good for some drivers. I see other people talking about how they go to Costco first thing in the morning when all of the orders drop, and they can get huge orders and make like get like the $100-$200 orders. But I get too anxious, and this often takes way too long, and in many cases I'm stuck trying to find 1 or 2 items that might not even be in stock at the store, but I think it is. So I have to run around the store a bunch of times trying to find the item. Usually when I take a Costco order, the amount of money that I make off of that makes it not worth the amount of time that I spent to shop that order. But if you work a normal 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, see how much you can make in your market at night after you get off of work, and see if it makes financial sense to quit your low-paying job to do gig work full-time. The only reason that I decided to jump into gig work within a few days of starting was because I just about doubled my pay from what I was making at that pharmacy job that I was doing at that time. Also, I didn't have to stand on my feet all day and deal with like legal issues or personal responsibilities regarding prescriptions. So I'm really glad to get out of that, and it made sense for me. So just make sure that makes sense for you before making any drastic changes. So next, let's get into some tips for starting gig work so that way you can maximize the amount of income that you're making. So the first thing that I would do would just be testing markets like I stated before. That's the most efficient way to identify what the best market is nearby to you. So that way you can find the best stores or the best store to work at. And so you can have high quality orders coming in hour after hour, day after day, and you'll rake in that money. The next biggest thing would be to know when to switch apps or know when to start multi-apping, so that way you can increase the amount of money you're making per hour. So a big thing about gig work is that you won't always have the same amount of income every single week from using the same gig app. Some markets have almost no customers, like when I lived up in Oswego, and this market wasn't profitable at all. There was a lot of waiting around, even for Instacart in between orders, and it was just terrible. So try to avoid markets like that. Some days Walmart Spark isn't working or they're having technical issues. I would say the more frequent problem that is much more drastic is that the store is very behind with orders. They've been behind with orders all day. So the wait time increases to over an hour to get your order. On those days, I would just recommend switching your apps, use multiple apps. Also keep in mind that things like your metrics changing or customer demand changing will affect the amount of income that you're able to make each week. So if you're used to a lot of Instacart orders and all of a sudden slows down, knowing when to take yourself and pivot to another app to keep your weekly income consistent is key in gig work. Some people I know like to go pick up a Walmart order and then go pick up a DoorDash or Uber Eats order, go deliver the food, and then go deliver the Walmart groceries. But I feel like this isn't one of the best options that you could do. If you're consistently late dropping off your Walmart Spark orders, your metrics will decrease and your customer rating might decrease. You'll probably start to see worse and worse offers in the app that you're already using. So just be smart when you are multi-apping. If you can get orders that are going in the same general direction, then that's the best option. But honestly, the best option that I found is just doing Walmart Spark and Instacart at the same time, since Walmart won't show your location to the customer when you're delivering. So you can just go and deliver for Instacart like normal because the customer can see where you are while you're delivering. So they will know if you're driving all over the place, if they're paying attention to their delivery. So just go deliver your Instacart order first and then go deliver your Walmart order. Just watch out for your deliver by time on Spark so that way you don't get any late arrival penalties and drive down your on-time arrival rate. After watching this video, if you have any questions that you would like to be answered, please leave them down below in the comments. If you like this video, hit subscribe and make sure to click the like button. I'll see you in the next video. Take care until then. Bye.